Well, everybody, good evening to you. My name is Dr. Marc Terebelo, and thank you and welcome to my webinar for this evening called Why You Need to Detox. And, well, many of you know that my professional initials are DC, meaning Doctor of Chiropractic. DC also means Doctor of Cause. That's why you come to me, because you want to know the reasons why you're not feeling well. You know that an aspirin is not going to release a spinal misalignment, is not going to heal the cause of your headaches, is not going to make you sleep better. You know that there are reasons why you have high blood pressure, why you have fatigue, and you want to know the reasons why. That's why DC also stands for Doctor of Cause, because you want me to get to the root cause. You want to know the cause of your dysfunction and why you're sick. About a month or so ago, I viewed a webinar similar to the one that you're going to see tonight. And in due fairness, I've included the other doctors who contributed many of the slides that you'll see tonight. Well-known doctors in the chiropractic profession, Dr. Van Merkel and Dr. John Brimhall. So it's only fair that I include them in tonight's presentation. Reason why we're doing this presentation tonight is that, well, you come to me because because you're not well. And there's something happening today in our environment that you need to know about and needs to be spelled out for you. And for you to get well and to feel as good as you should, there's certain actions that you need to take. Just like you're being responsible tonight in attending this webinar so you understand more, that's great. But you also need to take it for another step as well. There's only so much that I can do in the office. As your physician, I'm also your teacher, and that's where the word doctor comes from Latin word teacher, and that's the reason why we're here tonight, so that I could show you some things that you need to see, so we can get on with it and get well, and that we could do some action. Because there's only so much that I could do in the office. Okay, enough said. So we'll move on. All right, what you're seeing here is what we call the triangle of health, and we call this actually the triad of health. And it's with some modification. Those of you that have taken my muscle testing course. Those of you that have been to some of my lectures, you've seen something very similar to this. You see structure on the bottom, you see the word nutrition, and you see the word emotional. Now that what we see that is also here is that we see the word toxins, we see the word electrical pollution, and we see allergies and sensitivities. Because things have gotten a little bit more complicated now as the world has changed. And we're not just dealing with a subluxation, we're not just dealing always with a calcium or magnesium deficiency or mental emotional, but there are these other components here. Let me see if I can put the highlighter here and be fancy. Okay, we could see that there are other components here: toxins, allergies, electrical pollution. And what are these? Well, electrical pollution, just look at the lines in your backyard. Many people are sensitive to this, and all the technologies and staring at your computer screen, again, the electrical and high voltage wires, the communication towers. Some people really have a hard time with this, and with staying healthy with the electrical pollutants, and thus also that they experience allergies and toxins. So for us to continue on now, we need to also talk about these three additional factors for you to stay healthy. All right, I'm going to put my pen away here. Hopefully this works. Okay, I can choose a pen color. Okay, we'll go to non-drawing mode and we can switch slides. Okay, good. Switch. Okay, good. So let's talk about toxicity, because this is what we're talking about for this evening. You need to know that it's unavoidable. It's not that you just live in a toxic environment near a steel mill, but you breathe the same air that exists in a steel mill. And what's happening now is because due to all the chemicals in our environment, that we are becoming overloaded with chemical waste. The EPA estimates that there's over 7,000 chemicals are used commercially for agriculture, building materials, and consumer goods. 3,000 chemicals are approved for use in our food directly, and over 10,000 chemicals are used in food processing, preserving, and storage. From 1999 to 2004, the Centers for Disease Control found that 219 different chemicals were found in blood and urine. And actually, of these 219, 75 were new, and they've never seen them before. The Environmental Working Group did a study where they found that there were 287 chemicals that were found in the umbilical cords of newborn. So basically, what does that mean? That means that the question is the placenta actually blocking those chemicals from reaching our newborn? But what we're seeing is that we're seeing more cancer rates in the newborns. We're seeing more autism. We're seeing more ADHD as the children get older, and thus we know that indeed. The body is very much stressed and strained because of that. Of that total, 180 are known to cause cancer in humans or animals. 217 are toxic to the brain and nervous system, and 208 cause birth defects of some type. Okay, had a little, okay, I think we're okay. Okay, I apologize for that. Thank you. This is my first webinar, so a little nervous, and I think that's going to be our last speed bump. Okay. So there was a study done by the Environmental Working Group, and it was called 10 American Study. And they paid over $13,000 per child. And what they did is that they selected at random the cord blood from children across the United States. And what they reported was that they found neurotoxins, endocrine disruptors, and carcinogens were found in every child. Mount Sinai Hospital did a study, and they found 220 chemicals. It cost the study $4,900, and basically what they said was that there's no child is clean. Indeed, there's over 4 billion pounds of toxic chemicals are released by industry into the nation's environment every year, and that includes 72 million pounds of recognized carcinogens. Carcinogens are cancer-causing agents, 72 million pounds. It gets into all of us. It gets into your baby. In fact, Dr. Mark Hyman, who's a well-known MD, said that babies used to be born healthy and get sick later, but nowadays everybody is born sick because of the chemicals in our environment. Detox is the foundation of testing. And when you clean up the body, when you get the metals out of your system, you clean up a major problem. If your body's toxic, you simply don't get better. And what do? We end up blaming it on our age, we blame it on our genetics, we blame it on our weather, we blame it on our parents. When it actually, yes, sometimes genetics plays a role. Yes, sometimes age plays a role. But oftentimes it's because of what you're seeing in the screen right now. And if it builds up enough in your system and your body has a poor ability to detox, then you can get really sick with chronic disease like Parkinson's or whatever name to blame disease that a person has. But every single child has neurotoxins and carcinogens in their system. We have chemical compounds are present in the air, in our water, food, soil, dust, and consumer products. Currently, there's more than 300 environmental chemicals or their metabolites are measured in human samples. They're measured in urine, blood, serum, breast milk, and meconium. You know what meconium is, I know. That's your baby's first poop. Of this, there's a trivia question for you. Of the 700,000 chemicals used commercially, the EPA considers 65,000 of them to be hazardous to your health. Are you beginning to see why cancer rate is going up? Are you beginning to see why cancer is 1 out of 2 people now get cancer, and why we're losing the war, or we've lost the war on cancer? Do you see why children are getting sick? And are you beginning to see why you're just not feeling as energetic and as good as you used to be? We're having dioxins now in our environment. This is part of the chemicals. It can cause reproductive problems and genetic damages. It's from pollutions like incinerators, contaminants and pesticides and herbicides. It goes in the air and it gets into our bodies. We also have chemicals like hydrazine that was from food additives and pesticides, drugs, and plastics. We get that into our system as well that can damage our liver and our kidneys, cause autoimmune disease like cancer and MS, multiple muscular dystrophy, lupus. The sources of the toxins, well, there's air toxins. There's 187 hazardous air pollutants that's out there. Chemicals are from pesticides, phthalates, and chlorine and hydrofluoric acids. Some of them is from plastics, from the plastic water bottles that you drink, gets into the system. Some of it is also from dry cleaning solutions, that when you take your pants in to get dry cleaned, or your slacks, they often use chemicals that is very hazardous to your body as well. And heavy metals of mercury and lead and cadmium, arsenic, copper, aluminum, and chromium. And really just chronic fatigue you can get just from the heavy metals alone. Here's where it all comes from. Urban areas, and they have runoff into the stream. The aggregates from mining. Everything, the chemicals get dumped into the ocean. The fish eat it. We eat the fish, especially ground feeders, which you should certainly avoid eating. The air from the industry gets into the water as well. The air from the industry gets in our agriculture. The pesticides flow into the water. The pesticides flow into the food group. So it's a whole big scene, shall we say, a holistic scene of how we get hurt from our environment. Toxic chemical exposure can take place from the air we breathe and being in contact. Water that we drink and being in contact with that water. Water that might be poisonous. Food that we eat, the pesticides that get put on the food. The soil that we can, if we don't wash our foods. Inhalation from pesticides that even go on your lawn gets into our body, or we get in contact with it when they spray your lawn or the park lawn, or you take your kids out, or even when your pets go outside and they go on a lawn that's been sprayed, and then it goes into your house and your carpet, and you have contact with it as well. So indeed, skull and crossbones, we are toxic, and that's me, that's you. We're not feeling as good as we can be. And the point of this webinar is that the action starts now. Because if we don't do something now, then later on your body just will start producing a diagnosis, a symptom that they'll slap a label on. So right now you might be forgetting some people's names or forgetting dates, but if you don't clean it up, let's say that gets worse and you get more of a serious disease like Alzheimer's or those little tremors that you have now. Is this meant to scare you? Well, yeah, I think it's meant for you to take a look, because I don't want to see any of my patients being sick. That's why I'm here. That's why you've hired me to be your doctor. So what part of the body is affected? Well, really the answer to that is what part of the body is not affected. It can affect, it cause that mental confusion. Allergies as well, the sinus allergies, the allergies to food, memory loss, weight gain as well. Did you know that the body will put fat cells around toxins to protect itself? So many people that we talk about obesity and overweight. Oftentimes people are obese and overweight because of toxicity, and if they do a detox, they lose the weight. When we talk about even the TLS system that we use in the office, the transitions lifestyle system, that begins with a 7-day detox. Skin rashes, balance problems, immune dysfunction can be from toxicity. Dangers of toxics in your body, blurry vision, acid reflux, the back pain that just seems to keep recurring and not going away. I know that we like each other, but I know that I'd like for you to be better as much as you'd like to be better as well. And I'd like to see you once in a while for maintenance, but I want you to feel good. And perhaps some of the back pain is because of toxicity. Low testosterone in men, and again, uncontrolled weight gain. Here's some more toxic symptoms. How many of these ring a bell for you? Osteopenia, infertility challenges, joint and muscle pain, stress, insomnia, headaches, dark circles under your eyes, and mood changes, again, can be because of toxicity and the environment. Here's a list of detoxifications, some of the list of toxins of chemicals, even nicotine from your cigarettes or from inhaling from the environment, alcohol. Understand that prescription or recreational drugs, but we'll talk here about prescription and recreational drugs, all have toxins in them and suck up nutrients from your body. There's a perchlorate I was talking perchlorate I was talking about earlier. That's from the dry cleaning. Again, when you detox, you get musculoskeletal improvements, the bursitis, the tight shoulders, the post-exercise muscle pain starts to go away as well. Collagen tissues improve, your sinuses improve, ringing in the ears, the chronic middle ear infections, your skin looks better, and other ailments also, as you can see, will improve as well once we're able to get the toxins out of your system. Heavy metals. Heavy metals, you can see the list here: antimony, arsenic, bismuth, mercury. Some of these are important and necessary, like chromium. That's important for your pancreas. Too much chromium, not so much. Gold has been shown to be helpful for arthritis. iron, well, we need some iron, but too much iron has been known to be challenging to the body. That's why when we don't give, we shy away from multivitamins with iron after the menses has begun, and men should never take vitamins with iron in it. Zinc, of course, is important for your immune system. Vanadium is a trace mineral that's good for your blood sugar. So small of these are good, but when they start to get large amounts, then we start to have trouble. Then we start to have trouble. Your kidneys and your liver have to work overtime. Those are part of your detox organs that work to get your body clean, and your skin also. That's why your skin can get pocky and with blackheads when there's toxicity issues. Alzheimer's disease. You know, there was some research that said that's because of overload of aluminum in the system can result in it. Parkinson's has been shown to be heavy metal challenges as MS as well. Lead poisoning. Well, how many remember growing up in the time of leaded gas? Well, that's, you know, those mechanics that were around lead, they got sick, they got ill. And of course there's still issues with lead paint, but especially with children, it can result in developmental challenges, hearing loss and slow body growth, and reduced IQ. But you can see the other symptoms that result as well in adults as well. Lead poisoning symptoms, again, lowered IQ, challenges in learning, early signs of ADHD. So you wonder about putting kids on Ritalin and other meds such as that. Okay, what would happen if maybe some lead got through the placenta to the baby, causing that challenge? And what would happen if we simply took a look at that, see if that's so, and fix it as getting to the root cause of the problem? Fatigue, irritability, weight loss, constipation. These are all some of the symptoms that we see from lead poisoning. We can talk about mercury. Well, mercury is a powerful metal. It's more toxic than lead, cadmium, and arsenic, and it's found prevalently in our environment. It's found in the air, it's found in water, and it's found in the soil. Mercury is released from industries into the air. It can travel long distances, and it can be deposited on the soil and in the lakes, and it gets into our water supply in the bodies of fish. And fish such as tuna has been shown to be very high in mercury. And for those of you that enjoy eating a lot of tuna fish sandwiches, you want to basically keep that minimal. I used to do that at lunch, eat quite a bit of that. It's a nice protein until I read about it. And that's the value about reading information that supports your body rather than, shall we say, waste of time magazines that may go unnamed here. So metallic mercury has been found in 714 waste sites nationwide, and certainly we get it when we breathe the air from incinerations and other industry, drinking and eating and touching. And also, how many of us grew up with little mercury thermometers and we thought it was cool to play with the little mercury balls? But mercury, again, is very, very toxic, and one of the things that it does, and actually you can see this if you go on YouTube, that it actually eats neurons up, and it affects the unborn. So when you're eating food that has some mercury in it, maybe this lady's eating a piece of tuna, a spoonful of tuna or something, it gets into the system. The placenta isn't able to stop it, perhaps, and then we can see that the neurons actually get broken apart. And what about amalgams in your mouth? Well, if you have amalgams in your mouth, then you're cycling that mercury every single day. But what's interesting is that according to some people in the dentist field, when mercury is in the mouth, well, it's okay. But if it's on the ground, where once it comes out of the mouth, then it's a neurotoxic substance. So somehow it's not when it's in the mouth, but once it's out, the dentist has to pay a large amount of money just to get rid of it. Interesting, isn't it? So here's some more mercury health effects. Mercury vapor can cause various symptoms. Again, it can be very stressful for the kidney as well. Kidney detox organ, trying to convert it, get it out of the system. It can lead to kidney failure. Very dangerous for the pregnant mother. And very hazardous in the central nervous system, perhaps causing some of the tremors and speech issues and neurologic issues. Cadmium. Cadmium can be, well, you get that from industry as well. You get that a lot also from cigarettes. It's a carcinogen that's present there. Cadmium is very challenging for the kidney. It can cause kidney damage, and what's been shown is that once the cadmium is out of the body, kidney function can improve. Cadmium also can cause demineralization. You see at the bottom this. Let me get my little. Here we go. I was trying to get my little magic marker out here. Highlighter. Okay. This word here, itai disease. I'm like going, okay. They didn't teach me about that in chiropractic school. So let me see if I remember it correctly. Actually, it was a community. I think it was maybe the community was Itai. I may be wrong. You can Google it yourself and say, Dr. T, you were wrong. But it was an industry that let a lot of cadmium out in Japan. And it went into the ocean, and a lot of the residents in that area started having bone softening. And as a result of that, they got sick and bone softening. Testicular necrosis, that should scare all the guys. So again, another metal that we want to get rid of. And I want to get rid of this pen. Okay, here we go. Okay, arsenic. Okay, so arsenic comes through the groundwater primarily, and arsenic is particularly scary because it cannot be destroyed in the environment. It basically doesn't go away. So once arsenic is around, it stays with us, and it can be very, very poisonous in our water supply as well as in chemistry as well. You can see here that the dangers of lead and arsenic poisoning, how it's challenging for your lungs and bladder and kidneys and circulation, and can cause pigment change as well. You can see arsenic levels. Oftentimes I've read in the paper that there's warnings about rice because of its high level of arsenic. So beware of, for those of you that eat a lot of rice, you could be taking in high levels of arsenic, which can cause cardiovascular disease, hypertension, and even diabetes as well. Aluminum, well, aluminum is in your beverage cans, pots and pans, and in your soil, your foil rather, and that's in the soil. So whenever you drink something, you always want to make sure that that it's not. You want to avoid the use of aluminum containers. Let's put it that way. Avoid the use of pots and pans as well, because the aluminum leaches into the food and into the liquid. The use of aluminum foil, overdoing that as well, leaches into your system. Beware also that aluminum is found in your deodorant. So you put it underneath your arms, and guess what? It gets into your skin. It's found also in baking soda and also in your antacid. So when you're doing Tums, perhaps in Rolaids, perhaps, it's in there as well, and thus building up. So when you put all these little things together, all this aluminum just builds up in your system. And again, there was conversation, and perhaps there still is some, about aluminum contributing to Alzheimer's. So the question then is like, okay, well, what do we do with, as we start to shift our conversation, painting somewhat of a frank but perhaps bleak scenario. The question now is, okay, what do we do about it? Well, you can use one of the things that we're going to do beside testing, which we're going to talk about in a moment, is we can use chelators known as EDTA, DMSA, apopectin, and homeopathic products. Homeopathic, as you may know, are micro elements that help to get things out of the system. So we can identify after we test, let's say if mercury is too high, we can use a homeopath for mercury to leach to get it out of the system, or copper, or whatever the case might be. So here's a picture of what one of the homeopathics will look like, this particular one for aluminum. Another product that we will make a use of is a nice product that's recently out called Zymex, called Chelex, I should say. Chelex is a wonderful product, and because it has DMSA, which we're going to EDTA, which we're going to talk about in depth in a moment, chlorella, cilantro. These are, suffice it to say, these are all products that help to get metals out of the system. So we are all toxic, and therefore we want to have more going out than coming into the system. If we don't get rid of it, it stays in the system. And unfortunately, due to the lack of nutrient density of our food supply, we're just not getting the nutrients to really push this out as much as it should. Zinc is one mineral that certainly helps, and we're just not getting the zinc in the system like we used to. And the overload that our system is experiencing, there just needs to be more to help the body get it out. And this way we can reduce cancer and other chronic diseases as well. Another way to reduce ailments is the use of saunas. Far infrared saunas is a really excellent tool, and certainly if you can put one in your house or find an access to it, this is wonderful, because when you start to sweat with this type of wavelength, your pores open up and it gets out of the system. So far infrared detox is the way to go. Make a note of it. If you can get this for yourself or find it someplace, this is wonderful to have available for you. Okay, so now we're going to go into the next aspect of our webinar. Is okay, what do we do? How do we get this out? Well, what we want to do is something known as chelation challenge. You have toxins in you, but it's embedded in your fat cells. The challenge is, how do we get something to get it out of your fat cells and into your urine or into your stools and get out of your body? And these are called chelating agents. And so that's what we give to you. And this is a chelating agent, and known as DMSA. So we do two tests, and the tests are urine tests. And the one test is called a pretest, and the pretest is without the chelator, without the DMSA. And then we do another urine test after you take the DMSA. DMSA is wonderful. It can cross the blood-brain barrier, and it's useful for extracting heavy metals from the brain. Would you agree that more and more people that you run into these days have mental, emotional challenges? Perhaps you do too. Just like a physical challenge, the brain is another organ and gland. But we see this, I see this more and more. Why are we seeing more? Because of toxicity that gets in the brain, and because of demineralization and people not getting the nutrients. We can get it out of the system now, and we can help people. This is a comparison of different chelating agents. DMSA is what we use for the challenge, and you can see here how it gets many of the different metals out of the system. DMSA can cross the blood-brain barrier It's just for useful for extracting heavy metals from the brain, as I mentioned. There's also DMPS, which can be a little better, but it has more side effects to it. So we want safe here. We want, to be frank, there may be some discomfort in doing chelation, which we're going to talk about in a moment, but we want to minimize discomfort. EDTA has been known to get lead out. So primarily, if you're showing high in lead, that's what we would reach for. Chlorella from algae in cilantro as well has been shown also to get mercury out and other toxic metals out. But the thing is that the DMSA eliminates more metals, and therefore it has more functionality. Plus, what does the FDA say? Well, for those of you that it matters, that the FDA actually approves it. Turns out they have only one approved. They've approved only one substance as a scientifically approved chelating agent, and that's DMSA. And DMSA was approved to be safe and beneficial even for children to remove lead. It also removes 22 other toxic heavy metals without removing any beneficial minerals, and it only chelates substances that are foreign to the body. All right. So again, initial testing. We have a pre and post kit that I will get for you. So just to back up a step here as we get into this phase of this webinar. In listening to this, if you want to proceed in doing this, I encourage you now to, of course, listen to the rest of the webinar, and then you'll make your choice. You'll let me know whether you want to do this or not. But I'm going to spell it out for you here and know that this is available for you. Okay, so there's a pre and there's a post kit. And so you get 2 kits, and then you get 1 bottle of DMSA. The cost of the 2 kits is $190. And this is what it looks like. You excuse the rectangles here. Again, this is my first time. I am not really computer savvy, given my age, and my daughter, God bless her, did come over and help me a bit, but this was the best I could do with the slide. So, okay, it's not your eyes, but this is what the kit looks like. You'll get a collection cup, a storage container. There's requisition forms and shipping supplies that come with the kit. Now, when you do the challenge, you will take the chelating agent of dimethyl, it's called DMSA. Okay, dimethyl sulfoxide. That's wrong. DMSA, and there may be some discomfort. Okay, so here's what I recommend for you. You want to do this on a day that you're either not working and it's an easy day for you, just in case you feel some fatigue or flu symptoms, you get headachy, you have some digestive issues. Well, because what are we doing here? We're sort of kicking up and out the metals out of your system. So slow is better. There's no time element here to get it out quick. But some of you may be more sensitive than others. So you want to clear the path. You don't want to have an important meeting during the day that you do this. So you want to watch your timing. But if you feel poorly, just know that they'll pass within 4 to 6 hours, and just sort of rest, lay on the couch, drink a little bit more water, take a little bit more magnesium and calcium, and it'll pass, and then you'll be able to move on. But certainly a little bit of discomfort will be worth it for you, perhaps, to preserve the rest of your life in health. So this is what the first day looks like with the pretest. The first thing in the morning, notice it says patient because this was a webinar that I saw. So this is what you do. You'll urinate, but you don't collect the first specimen. But the next urination, you'll collect the specimen in a collection cup, and then you pour it into a storage container that you'll keep in the fridge. And you'll do that for about 6 hours. And then basically you'll mix the urine, you'll shake the urine up, and you'll pour the urine into a smaller vial, which we'll show you in a moment. And you'll write the information, the date, and you'll send it off. And then at the end of the first evening, at the end of the 6-hour pre-testing, you'll take the trial dose of DMSA, which is simply 1 tablet, just to see how you feel with it, to make sure that you don't have a reaction. Now, some people are concerned that if there might be a concern with their sensitive sulfa drugs, and that's why we do a little bit of a test dose first, just to be sure that there's no challenge with it. Generally, everything's pretty safe in low dose here, but we always like to walk before we run, just to make sure you feel good. So this is what it looks like. Again, first thing in the morning, you urinate. You can urinate into the cup. Depending on your anatomy, you may not need that cup on the top, and you could just use the one on the bottom here, and you'll do that for about 6 hours. And then after all the collections of the day are finished, you shake the jug, you pour it into the cap to the fill line, and you'll write down the information that says so on the cap. You'll write the collection tube, you'll wrap the collection tube in a sanitary paper provided in the kit, and you put it back into the plastic bag. And then we'll fill out the requisition form. We'll do this together, and we'll talk about this as well before you do all this. And you put it back in the box, and then you basically you FedEx it, but you don't put it into a drop box. You follow the directions there for pickup. It's all prepaid, and then they come and pick it up from you. But you want to keep it refrigerated until the pickup process is there. So that ends day 1, and then you start day 2 with that trial dose of DMSA that I just mentioned, just taking one in the evening. So here we go, day 2, and this is where you use the other kit. Again, the first urination you don't keep in the containers. And you don't eat anything before you take the DMSA supplements. You don't take any other supplements on this day either. And then you'll take a full DMSA dose. And if you choose to do this, depending on your weight, that's what determines what your dose will be. So we will be talking about this. And you don't eat for 2 hours after taking the DMSA. And then the next time you urinate, then you collect the urine specimen and you pour it into the storage container, and you do this for 6 hours. And you want to drink a lot of water, especially during the first 3 hours. You want to drink at least 1 to 1.5 liters of reverse osmosis water, so something like Aquafina or Dasani, something like that. Those are commercial brands. So after the 6-hour collection, you're going to mix the urine by shaking it up, and basically do the same thing like you did for the pre-test, putting it all into the bags, writing the appropriate information where it says to, and have it shipped out. Now, again, you may experience some discomfort. You may experience some gas. You may have experienced fatigue or bloating. Maybe diarrhea when taking the DMSA supplement. You may have some of this. In fact, maybe expect to have some of this, so you're not too surprised. And you may have some other symptoms. Maybe there might be some little skin rash that may occur. And it's just not something that's it's very rare. Okay, so it shouldn't hit you too hard. But if you feel some discomfort, sometimes it's best to expect it rather than be surprised and sort of prepare for the worst just in case. But again, remember that DMSA has a half-life of 6 hours, so it's gone, and mostly gone in 4 hours. So it's not going to stay with us. So just sort of hang on there. Important also that if you're having blood tests, you want to wait to have for at least 7 days after taking DMSA. So while you're doing this chelation therapy, this detox therapy, you want to wait till the program's done before you go in for any type of blood testing. Also, the DMSA that you're using for at this point of the care for the urine analysis, you want to keep holding on to the bottle because you're going to use the rest of it for your therapy. So again, we're going to package and ship the same as it was for day 1. You put the word post on it, and I'll help you fill out the forms. So the therapy dose goes like this. So once we know and we can identify, so here's what happens. So we send it off to a lab, and then about a week to 10 days later, we get a report. And the report will show what the levels are of lead, aluminum, cadmium, all the metals that we spoke about, mercury, arsenic, etc., that's in your system. If we see something that's very high, then we might want to include other things beside the DMSA as a therapy dose. So like the homeopathics, specifically for that particular metal, or perhaps cilantro or EDTA. Depending what the case is, we can tailor based on the results that we find together. But we're going to use the rest of the DMSA, and you're going to generally take 300 milligrams twice a day. But if you don't feel good with it, if you feel like it's too much because your body perhaps can't handle the detox, or because there's just so much metals in your system it's overloading, then we'll cut it down. We'll cut the dose by 1/3. Again, it's not how fast we get this done, but the fact that we get it done. That's what's important. So we take it for 3 days on. You take DMSA, we give you some magnesium as well. Basically for 3 days, no other supplements. You're going to take it between food. You make sure you drink lots of water. And then after 3 days on, you go 11 off. And then you go back on your regular supplements, your multis, etc. And then after 11 days, you go back to the 3 days. So basically, you're going to go through about 5 cycles. And then we can do another retest. We don't have to do a pre-test, and so we just do one more urine test, and we can see the differences that it makes. And the point also is that you should feel a lot better as well. So the therapy, depends on your patient tolerance. Again, cutting down the dosages when need be. But we also want to look at some other factors as well. DMSA, again, is a wonderful product. But it can be a little bit challenging on the kidney. So if you have or have had any history whatsoever of kidney challenges, then the DMSA program is not for you. We don't want to put any more challenges on a kidney. If you got a healthy kidney and there's never been any issues with you and clean bill of health, then we're good to go. We also want to take a look at liver as well, making sure that your liver enzymes are healthy. There's no anemia, and the thyroid function too, if the thyroid shows any signs of inflammation. We want to basically delay this until this is under control. Again, there's no hurry. We want to show progress is better. Slow progress rather is better than no progress at all. So if there's challenges because a person has a kidney challenge, if a person has some other, doesn't qualify for the DMSA, then we can look at other things, so other products rather. We can look at chlorella, spirulina, glutathione. These are other chelating type of agents that will help as well and take the stress off the kidneys. We can look at EDTA as well. We can look at Metagenics. This is a Metagenics chart here, and they have a wonderful product called Ultra Clear Renew, which helps to get the metals out of the system. But you see that person up top there? Feels like dog do. And the reason why he doesn't feel well is because we live in a sea of chemicals, and it's toxic and it's toxifying. And as we get older, some of us don't look as good as we used to because of toxins in the environment. And to be healthy, this is something that we have to do to stay well and protect our health. So again, going back here, there's some other side effects, with this that can happen. If you're uncomfortable, we can switch into the Ultra Clear Renew. We can switch into chlorella. That's not a problem. DMSA is certainly the best. It's aggressive and it gets the job done. But depending on your body and depending on the level of toxins, it may not be the best choice. Now here's the doctor here. This is what he does, and this basically makes good sense here. He basically says that every Monday morning he'll take DMSA, all at once, and 600 milligrams. And because we're even though you clear this out of your body, and you'll get some nice giant steps toward feeling better, we're still living on this planet Earth. And if you live on the planet Earth, you're exposed to toxic metals. And so it's always part of the game of good health, making sure the metals get out of the system. So chelating benefits are reducing the heavy metals. Takes the burden off the body and the immune system. It allows the body to use the resources for more important problems. So when we get the toxins out of the system, then the nutrients work better. Then your body works better. It's not about waiting to get sick. That's not holistic health. Holistic health means prevention. That means it means handling the toxins in the environment before they produce symptoms. It means protecting your back from back pain by coming in for an adjustment before you experience the symptom of back pain. Remember that symptoms are not always the sign of body dysfunction, but a sign. Things build up. They build, they build, they build. Toxins build and build and build and build. Little strains in the back or the feet not being right go like a dominoes game and cascade from one area to the other, stressing and straining. And if it doesn't get well, if you don't have the resources it needs to get well, then you get sick or then you get back pain. And it's just, it's basically the same thing here. I think this is the last slide, so I'm just going to keep it here for just a moment as I end here. First of all, I want to acknowledge you for being here tonight for the webinar. I know that it's been a day for most of you, and I know that, but I hope this has been a valuable experience for you. God willing, this has been recorded properly, and we will be able to post it on our new website. It'll be archived there for future reference or to share with other family members and friends. I will be way that will proceed with this is that you need to let me know whether you would like to do this. I will then give you a outline of procedures and get the kits for you. The DMSA is not that expensive. I think it's like about $30 or so for a bottle. The kit's not that expensive. It's $190. I'm not charging you any extra to do this for you. So I'm trying to keep the cost down because this is important for you. So I'll have the procedures down. We'll order the kits. You need to book off days in your calendar where you're not working, where a plan's right for you, and do it. and I guarantee you'll feel better. Think of all that the chemicals that are in your system, in your children's system. Think about how as you're getting older, the energy's not there. You're feeling weaker than you used to. How many people that you know have chronic diseases? Is this an answer for all that? Okay, I can't say for sure yes or no. But I'm going to say the research shows that it very well could be. And if I could avoid cancer, I'm going to go ahead and do this because it's epidemic now. And we need to do all that we can. So I thank you again for joining us this evening. My name is Dr. Marc Terebelo, and have a good evening.